There's a specific moment when your kid stops bringing you their problems. It's not dramatic. There's no announcement, no door slamming or shouted declarations. It happens in a single interaction that feels completely ordinary to you, but lands like a betrayal to them. And most parents miss it entirely because it doesn't look like what you'd expect. You're about to see the exact moment trust shatters and the 3 seconds that decide whether your child will tell you the truth for the next decade or start building a secret life you'll never see. Let me show you what this moment actually looks like. Your 8-year-old walks into the kitchen, their shoulders are tight, they're doing that thing where they hover near you without making eye contact. Finally, they say it. I think I did something bad at school today. And here's where everything splits into two completely different futures. Path one, you stop what you're doing, you turn toward them fully, you take a breath and you say, okay, tell me what happened. Your voice stays level, your face stays open. You're calm even though your brain is already spinning through worst case scenarios. Path two, your body tenses, your face shifts, maybe your voice gets sharp. What did you do? Or you immediately start problem solving. How bad is it? Did anyone call me? Should I be expecting an email from your teacher? And in that reaction, in those first 10 seconds, your child's brain makes a calculation. They decide right there whether you can handle their truth or whether hiding it would be safer. Because here's what most parents don't understand about trust. It's not built during the good moments. It's not built when they bring home perfect report cards or remember to brush their teeth without being asked. Trust is built or destroyed in the moments when they're scared, when they've messed up, when they need you to be steady and you're anything but. Your kid doesn't need you to be happy about their mistakes. They need you to be safe with their mistakes. And there's a massive difference. Think about your own life for a second. Who do you tell your problems to? Not the person who'll judge you, not the person who'll panic, not the person who'll immediately start fixing before they've even listened. You tell the person who can hear hard things without falling apart. Your kid is making that same calculation about you every single time they bring you something difficult. They're testing whether you're that person. And the brutal truth is, most parents fail this test without even realizing they're taking it. Here's what happens in your child's brain during these moments. When they're deciding whether to trust you with something hard, their amygdala is scanning your face, your body language, your tone. They're not doing this consciously, it's automatic. Their nervous system is asking one question: is this person safe right now? And safe doesn't mean permissive. It doesn't mean you won't have consequences or boundaries. Safe means your reaction won't be bigger than the problem. Safe means they can tell you the truth without your emotional response becoming the new crisis they have to manage. When your face tightens, when your voice gets sharp, when you immediately launch into lecture mode, their brain registers threat. Not physical threat, but an emotional threat. And once that alarm goes off, they shut down. The story they were about to tell you gets edited. The full truth gets buried. They start calculating what you can handle instead of just telling you what happened. And here's the part that should terrify every parent. Once a child learns that hiding is safer than telling, they get really, really good at it. They learn which truths you can handle and which ones to bury. They learn to manage your emotions before their own. They learn to become someone else around you, someone smaller, simpler, less complicated, someone you can handle. Let me tell you about the emails I get from parents of teenagers. My daughter tells me nothing. My son is completely shut down. They won't talk to me. And when I ask these parents about their child's early years, about how they responded when their kid was 7 or 8 and brought them small problems, the pattern is always the same. They reacted from fear. They corrected immediately. They made their emotional response bigger than the issue. They failed the test over and over until their child stopped taking it. But here's what gives me hope. That moment, that split second when your child is deciding whether to trust you, it happens every day, multiple times, and every single one is a chance to build trust or break it, which means you get hundreds of opportunities to get this right. So let me show you exactly what changes everything. It's not a script, it's not something you memorize and repeat, it's a shift in how you receive hard information. And it starts with one practice that feels completely wrong until you understand why it works. When your child brings you something difficult, your first job is not to respond, it's to regulate yourself. Because your nervous system is about to do what every human nervous system does when hearing bad news. It's going to activate. Your heart rate will spike, your breathing will change, your muscles will tense. That's biology, that's normal. But here's what separates parents who build trust from parents who destroy it. The ones who build it know how to interrupt that activation before it becomes their reaction. They feel the spike, they notice the tension, and they pause. Just 3 seconds, one deep breath. That pause is everything. Because in that pause, you're choosing your response instead of defaulting to your reaction. You're letting your prefrontal cortex catch up to your amygdala. You're giving yourself the space to remember that your child needs you to be the steady one right now, not the scared one. And when you can stay regulated while they're dysregulated, something remarkable happens. Their nervous system starts to borrow your calm. Not immediately, not magically, but gradually you become the anchor instead of another wave. Here's what this looks like in practice. Your child says they cheated on a test. Everything in you wants to explode. What were you thinking? How could you do this? Do you know what this means? But instead, you take that breath. You let the wave of panic pass through you without becoming your reaction. And you say, that must have felt really hard to tell me. Thank you for being honest. Now help me understand what happened. Notice what you didn't do. You didn't approve of cheating. You didn't remove consequences. You didn't become permissive. You stayed steady. You created space for the full story. You signaled that telling the truth, even when it's ugly, is always safer than hiding. That's the moment your child's brain updates the trust algorithm. Oh, I can bring them hard things. They don't collapse. They don't explode. They can handle me, even when I mess up. And that update, that's worth more than every perfect parenting moment you've ever had. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but if I stay calm, doesn't that send the message that what they did is okay? Won't they think there are no consequences? And this is the misconception that destroys trust in so many families. Staying regulated is not the same as being permissive. You can be calm and still hold boundaries. You can be steady and still have consequences. In fact, consequences delivered from a place of calm are far more effective than consequences delivered from rage, because your child can actually hear them. When you're yelling, when you're lecturing from a place of fear and anger, your child's brain literally cannot process the lesson. They're in fight or flight. Their learning centers are offline. All they're absorbing is your emotional state, not your words. But when you're calm, when you're regulated, when you're clear, they can actually think, they can reflect, they can learn. That's when real growth happens, not from your anger, from your steadiness. So here's the framework that builds trust instead of breaking it. When your child brings you something hard, follow these 4 steps. Step 1, pause and breathe. Feel the activation in your body and let it pass before you speak. This is not optional. This is the foundation of everything else. Step 2, thank them for telling you. Even if what they're telling you is terrible, the fact that they told you means they still trust you enough to be honest. Acknowledge that. I know that was hard to say. I'm glad you told me. Step 3, get curious before you get corrective. Ask questions. Help me understand what was happening. What were you thinking right before this happened? Walk me through it. This isn't interrogation, it's investigation. You're trying to understand their world, not just judge their actions. Step 4, separate the behavior from the relationship. You can address what they did wrong while making it clear that your relationship is not in question. What you did isn't okay, and we need to figure out how to make this right. But you're not in trouble with me. I'm here to help you through this. Those 4 steps, pause, thank, curiosity, separation, that's how you build trust in the hardest moments. That's how you become the person your child can bring anything to. And here's what happens over time when you practice this consistently. Your child starts bringing you things earlier, before they become disasters, before they spiral. They come to you when the problem is small because they've learned you can handle small problems without making them feel terrible. That eighth grader who got a bad grade tells you the day it happens instead of hiding the report card for 3 weeks. That middle schooler who's being excluded tells you about the group chat instead of suffering in silence. That high schooler who's thinking about trying something risky asks you about it first instead of experimenting alone, not because you're permissive, because you're safe, because you've proven over and over that your love is bigger than their mistakes, that your steadiness is stronger than their chaos. This is what trust looks like when it's built right. It's not obedience, it's not compliance, it's connection that can survive truth. So here's what I want you to do. The next time your child brings you something difficult, and it will probably be today, I want you to notice your body's response. Feel that spike of fear or anger or disappointment. Notice where it lands in your chest, your throat, your shoulders, and then I want you to pause. Just 3 seconds, one breath. Let that wave pass through you without becoming your words. And when you speak, speak to the child in front of you, not to your fear about what this might mean. Because that moment, that 3 second pause between their confession and your reaction, that's when trust is built or broken. That's when your child decides whether you're someone who can handle their real life or someone they need to protect from it. Choose steady, choose curious, choose connection over control, because the relationship you build in these moments is the relationship you'll have when the stakes get higher, when they're 15 and facing peer pressure, when they're 17 and making choices that matter, when they're 25 and navigating life on their own. The trust you build now determines whether they bring you into those moments or hide them from you. And that difference, that changes everything. Your child is always asking one question: can you handle the real me? And they're not waiting for your words to find out. They're watching how you breathe when they confess. They're measuring the space between their truth and your tension. Every pause you take, every tone you choose, every moment you stay steady when their world shakes. That's your answer speaking louder than anything you could ever say.